Alright guys, we're back with more of The Letter. So surprisingly enough, unlike most of the previous chapters, this one in particular actually has moments where it focuses on like the core cast, but more so. Like right now in this particular video, we have more focus on Luke because of the little girl Kylie. And we get to learn a little bit, we get some more insights into his mind and a little bit of why he is the way he is, and it's an interesting take on it, and I like it. Another good thing is it's been a pretty good chapter considering we haven't been getting any horrific moments yet. I expect him to come later, but for the time being, it's been a great chapter. So with that said, guys, I hope you continue to enjoy watching, and with that said, let's keep it going. Alright, and we're back. Beside us stands Kylie, gawking at us with that same curious stare she often brings with her. I know that look all too well, a precocious child through and through. She doesn't say anything further, her gaze simply moves between us, eyeing us both carefully, clearly anticipating an answer. From my experience, when it gets like this with children her age, it's a sure sign they won't leave you until you've given them an answer they're satisfied with. Lying won't do either, it has dissolved into a shouting match for heaven's sake. And did you just say Tio? Something falls straight to the pit of my stomach at that. But my tone is gentle when I finally address her, void of any apprehension and what might be the first hint of embarrassment. I pointedly ignore the latter. It can very well be just the hunger speaking.
Kylie, sweetie, do you know this oaf?
Yeah, he's Tio Luke.
Right at that moment, my brain stops. My brain stops too after seeing this girl's eyes. Look at, oh my gosh, that's so, they're like, it's not normal. They're seeing right through me. Every line of thought, every argument I still have against the man beside me dissipates in a haze. Amidst all of it, one memory triggered from a few days ago.
Tio? The one you mentioned before? The uncle? The guy Rowan wanted to impress? Or was that a dare? I'm sorry, I can't recall. Is it the one who promised he'll take Big Brother someplace cool?
Yeah, the one and the same. Don't you know who he is?
I sure as hell don't, darling. Because if I do, I wouldn't have let everything I've said earlier come out of my mouth.
He's my Tio Luke, gazillionaire extraordinaire, and the fairy godfather.
He's your godfather. That's nice.
The one and only. Did I get that right, Tio?
More than right, sweetheart. I'm sure Miss Pink here understood everything you said quite perfectly.
Whatever it is that landed at the bottom of my stomach prior has shot straight up to my face and stayed there. The heat from it slowly spreading to my cheeks, coloring my face in almost the same shade as my hair. If only the earth would swallow me whole here and now. His eyes are on me. I can feel them, jeering, mocking. I can't even bring myself to look at him. Oh, they forgot the... What's in there? Amusement? I doubt it. He's probably having the time of his life right now. But I know. I can hear the sneer in his tone alone when he talks. He has that smug grin on him, which I may or may not want to punch off his face at present, just for the hell of it. I would not complain if you did that. But damage control. I need to do some damage control before this whole thing goes south. I really don't want to apologize to Luke though. I would rather apologize to Kylie. I would lose points with him, but I honestly just don't care. But at the same time, because I know if I apologize to him, he's just gonna be... He's gonna be so smug about it. You know what? Forget him. I don't care. Of course, an apology is the most appropriate thing to say. But no matter how much I will myself to do it, my own body refuses to budge. My own mouth refuses to open and my head rejects the very idea of looking at him. No apology for an... Not to someone with an ego too big for his head. Let his pride suffer. I'm not gonna eat my words for the sake of stroking his damn ego, less reason for him to gloat. Kylie, however, I owe an explanation.
Don't worry, Kylie. I'm not fighting with your Tio. This is just, a discussion. A A very serious discussion between a very mature adult and one that's not.
Look at his face already.
Really? But I've never seen Tio angry before.
It's because he's losing the argument. But don't ever follow his example, Kylie. You should always learn to be patient, even if things aren't going your way, okay?
Oh, sure, a discussion. And it involves hitting random strangers you meet at a cafe with a book. A hardbound book. Mind you, the little me hasn't recovered yet. If my future generation never survives from this, we are going to have more than words, woman!
I don't allow Kylie to hear his tirade and cover both her ears with my hands. As fond as she is of the man, there are words he shouldn't be saying to in front of a child. How could he not know about that? More importantly, how on earth did someone like him become a godfather? Who allowed it? Maybe I should talk to Mrs. Suarez about it. Warn her how he's not a good influence for her children.
Language! How can you use such crude words in front of her? Your goddaughter can hear you, for heaven's sake.
Oh, and you didn't. If I remember everything correctly, you called me a rotten beau.
So you're going to repeat it in front of her, just to make a point? What, are you 5? Even 5-year-olds are more sensible than you.
Even Isabella. I can say that with much certainty.
Even 5-year-olds are more sensible than you.
See what I mean?
Are you fighting again?
Oh, no. Like I said, we were just having a discussion. We're actually done now. But you need to promise Miss Pink you will never grow up like this guy. Good kids don't do what he's doing.
But I like Tio.
And I'm quite sure Tio likes you too. But liking people is different. Just because you like him doesn't mean you have to be like him. There are better role models for you aside from him.
Like you?
Not exactly what I'm trying to get at. But if that's what you want, I don't see why not.
Okay, I want to be like Miss Pink someday. I want to be a teacher. And I promise I won't be like Tio, even if he's a gazillionaire.
Wow, turning my own goddaughter against me. How mature of you, Miss Pink.
His tone makes me pause. For the first time since this talk started, I look at him. Briefly, something flashes behind his eyes. Something close to what might be an expectation. Falling? Dismay? I can't be sure. It passes almost as soon as it appears. What's that about? Does he actually like having Kylie around? It doesn't seem like it from the get-go, but if that fond smile on him is anything to judge by, then maybe.
Don't worry, Tio. If you buy me bread pudding tonight, I'll like you again.
Aw, if that's all it takes, consider it done, sweetheart. We might have to find another place to buy it from, though. Somewhere safe, where a random crazy woman isn't going to attack us out of the blue. Let's go.
Okay, bye, Miss Pink. I still like you, just not more than Tio anymore. See you.
Kylie already pulling him to the cafe's exit before I can protest on it. Although it's not like there's anything to object on further. I may view that man, Luke, as someone hateful, maybe to the point of seeing him as an eyesore, but I don't think that'll have any bearing on what the child thinks of him. When you think about it, if she admires him so much like that, then maybe there's still something agreeable in him. A part of him only Kylie sees. He still has the gall to wink at me before they both disappear behind the door, so maybe not. However, there's no moment to ponder about it. Seconds later, the guy at the counter waves me over and hands me a paper bag as soon as I've paid. He offers me another smile before I leave. Normally, I'd return it simply for the sake of returning it, or I don't at all, with the latter happening more commonly. For the time being, I do so freely. After that encounter and the scene we've caused, seeing a friendly gesture being extended to me, albeit from a person I barely know on a personal level, it feels like a reassurance, despite bearing no promise of better days. I take what little I can of it with me as I step out into the night. A cloudless night sky greets me when I walk out of the cafe. Beyond the tall buildings, a blanket of stars spreads out before me. Isabella once told me that the best place to view it is someplace outside the city, away from the noise and obtrusive lights. She'd seen it once in her mom's hometown and another time in the university she used to attend. Then she asked if it's possible to try it out here sometime. I agreed with her at the time, if only because she appeared excited at the mere prospect of it. We made those little plans along with Zachary and Ashton. We never got around We never got around it before. Now we may lose that chance altogether. Even so, I find myself enjoying this despite being told it's only half the experience. Little things, you know, stuff you learn to appreciate when you're alone. Because at certain times, you get to meet people who are unfortunately born with the innate talent to ruin the mood and the scene with their mere existence alone. For example, the very driver of the car fast approaching my direction. Luckily, he doesn't notice me. But the fleeting moment we pass each other by gives me a brief glance at the people he's with. Kylie's sitting on the backseat with a serving of bread pudding in her hands. Oh, and the creepy lady's there. And beside him, it must be his wife. He takes a turn and disappears at the nearest corner. But throughout the night, that cursory glimpse of all things that bother me has left me wondering what kind of person his wife is. And more than that, it's a silent prayer to the universe. I hope I don't ever cross paths with that douche again. The brief lull the past 2 days has offered is nice while it lasted. Or as nice as it can get while we're playing the long waiting game, teetering between sheer optimism and despair. Her aunt's arrival this morning has dampened the edge to that somewhat, though only by some. The uncertainty is still there, unspoken throughout the brief time we talked, simply hanging stiffly above our heads. Having another person with us helps, however. I can tell the same doubts has crossed her mind the second she saw it in that room. Ashley himself doesn't look too hopeful when he left the night ago. It was a wordless exchange, partly sullied by my lingering anger and his exhaustion, but has left a solid atmosphere in the room nonetheless.
Like an ugly premonition.
And as expected, just as things start to settle and a steady rhythm finally worms its way back to my routine, Thursday morning brings further disturbance to the now calm waters. With little ceremony, though still enough to ripple through everything. In retrospect, I really should have seen this coming. Luxbourne is a small city, relatively speaking. Compared to, say, London or Glasgow, it's nothing but a tiny mass of land boasting a mere population of 68,000. But those numbers alone are nothing to scoff at when standing in a busy street. And if you pay close attention, faces taking the crosswalks or riding the subway will soon grow familiar. How unfortunate that out of that number it has to be Tio, Luke, I encounter more than once.
Oh, you know, a few problems popping up here and there that the agents failed to tell us somehow. Nothing a few hired hands can't fix, of course. I would have preferred a place near the city and something that's new to save us all the trouble, but darling wife insisted. Who am I to say no?
Ah, are you kidding me?
His smug head is the first thing I see upon turning into the hall, in spite of the small crowd of parents and students gathered at the corridor for the primary's career day. It's not that he stands out, he's pretty unremarkable at first glance, frankly. However, it's his countenance that draws people's eyes to him. The manner he carries himself with all the confidence in the world, his mere presence dwarfing everything around him. I'm willing to make a bet he's also enjoying the attention it garners him, especially the ones coming from the women.
What an ass.
A single glance at him and I know immediately that, one way or another, if we ever bump into each other again, my day will effectively be ruined in some capacity. He also exudes that air. That sort that makes you want to run him over with a lorry and pass it off as an unfortunate accident. With him, it's either you want to punch him or let yourself be charmed. There's no in between. I'll gladly do the honor of the former myself, but alas, there are people around us. Now, I'm stuck with having to face one of the two.
I shouldn't have volunteered.
At the time, helping out sounded a good idea. I have no classes left today until after lunch. I could have opted to stay at the teacher's lounge and work on my lesson plans, but that means being left alone with our deputy head and his chatter. He's a good man, but Crivens, he can talk anyone's ears off. So the moment an opportunity rose, I jumped on it. It's a simple task to boot. Just deliver a whole box of materials and a few posters for the event, maybe stay around to assist if time will allow it. I just wasn't expecting him to show up here. Out of the frying pan and into the fire. Had I known, I would have stayed and suffered through our deputy's impromptu speeches about his life crisis instead. But what's done is done. Going back is also out of the question. With how unexpectedly heavy the load I'm carrying is, I'd hate to lug this for a trip back just because my pride can't take another second of interaction with the guy. He's insufferable, alright, but I've had my fair share of dealings with teens of more or less the same temperament, all considerably younger than him, and they listen. If he wants to be difficult like last time, so be it, but he can bet his sorry English ass I'm not standing down. Left with no other choice, I brace myself and suck in a breath, mustering every bit of patience I have as I step into the hall. My grip on the box tightens when I pull it closer to me and attempt to assume a low-key air as I amble towards the room. The box is not big enough to hide my face, even with the stuff piled on top, but if all else fails, I can just hit him with it. Still, a small prayer forms in my head. If there's even one listening out there, please grant me enough restraint. Better yet, I hope he doesn't notice me at all. That'll definitely make my life easier. Seriously, how hard can it be? He's standing a few ways from the door, and there are plenty of people between us to use for cover. If I'm careful, I can just go in, hand in the stupid box to whoever's in charge, forget every plan of staying longer than necessary, and step out as soon as I can. Easy as pie. But as luck would have it, the exact moment I reach the room's threshold, someone barrels towards me. She latched onto my wish before topping the sudden commotion with a gleeful squeal.
I knew it's you!
Of course. The force of it nearly throws me off balance, sending the items stacked atop the box tilting dangerously to the sides. With the child's added weight in my waist, pinning me on the spot and both of my hands occupied, watching is the only thing I'm able to do. With the short seconds in between slows as everything gradually slides off the box's small surface. Under different circumstances, this would have made for a funny story some other time. Comical even. Until another set of hands reaches out and steadies the posters, threatening to take a nosedive right to the floor. Careful now, Daisy, don't make a mess here. My entire body freezes. Upon hearing his voice alone, an irrational impulse to hit him immediately bubbles up. But before my limbs could catch up with what my brain is currently screaming at me, he moves to take the burden off my arms. Irritation gives way to surprise. Then, confusion. It is in that moment when instinct finally kicks in and I tug the box closer to me before he can fully lift it off.
What are you doing?
What does it look like? You're surprisingly slow on the uptake for someone of your profession, aren't you? Bloody, doesn't this school have people for this kind of work? Ugh, so much for being a center of academic excellence.
I'm going to ignore that slight to my alma mater and my work, because that's not what I'm trying to get at. You know what? Why don't we just rephrase that to something you'll easily understand? Why exactly are you doing this?
Well, you look like you could use a bit of help. Have you seen your face while you were heaving this around?
Mister, I'm pretty sure if there's ever a look on my face, it's entirely because I saw something extremely unpleasant this morning.
Aren't you a ball of sunshine today, Daisy? Having a bad day, aren't we?
Oh, you have no idea.
I'd put it away if I were you. You might scare the children.
You don't have to worry about that. This isn't my department. I was just asked to bring these. Anyway, I can handle this myself, mister. The room's just right over there. Behind you, in fact. Now, if you could please move over and make way, it would do the whole world some good.
Keeping my voice level throughout is a miracle in itself, but regardless of how polite my request is, he doesn't budge. Did what I've said just merely fly over his head? Were my choice of words really that difficult to comprehend? Surely it shouldn't be that hard. I think he might be a little touched in the head. I'd like to ask him that actually, but Kylie chooses that instant to pipe in.
Don't worry, Miss Pink. Tio's strong. You can leave this to him. My papa does it lots of times, but I'm not allowed to talk about it to anyone. Tio says it's
Confidential, Munchkin.
That's right. Tio's smart, isn't he, Miss Pink?
I'm still of the opinion that he's a piece of but I must admit his granddaughter's excitement is his goddaughter's granddaughter. Excitement is contagious as always. A smile makes its way to my lips. She has yet to budge from her place, though to be honest, I'm starting to lose some feeling on my stomach with how tightly she's wound her arms around it.
I'm sure he is, Kylie. But I'm also sure he'll find better use for it elsewhere.
Like helping you out.
Oh, well, that's one thing, but
You heard the kid.
no one's asking you.
I actually like that. That was so well delivered.
You wound me, woman.
And I'm quite certain I can do more damage than that. Shall we give it a try? Again?
He pales, stammers for a bit, until he ultimately decides against saying anything and settles for a brief show of discomfort instead. He's probably having flashbacks to the last time we met. His composure when he finally regained some of his bearings has it all. It's nothing short of hilarious if I do say so myself.
I'll have you know that threats never work on me, Daisy. Not in a million years, not ever.
You're assuming it's a threat. How cute.
That too. I'm not scared of you, just because you landed a hit.
Do go on. Keep telling yourself that.
It was a fluke, you hear? I was caught off guard and your damn book left a dent. If I end up in a hospital because of what you did, I'm sending the chief of Luxburg Police after you, woman.
You don't say.
Just give me that bloody box.
He snatches it out of my arms before a single word of protest exits my mouth and quickly disappears behind the classroom. Not that it matters who brings it in now, my prior irritation has already melted into amusement. He's not so bad once you figure out how his temperament works. It's almost similar to a child. Though I still have to ask.
Kylie, did your Tio eat something bad before coming here? He's unusually nice today.
A far-fetched idea, I know, but it's the only reason I can think of why this guy is suddenly acting like a decent human. He's quite frankly far from being. First and foremost, we didn't end our last meeting on a good note. If I were him, I'd avoid the very person who put a dent on his skull, as he so aptly put it. Why is he acting friendly 2 days later?
He always is. But I made him promise to be extra nice to you since you helped me so much. I think you're gonna be great friends.
Oh, I highly doubt that, Kylie. I quickly stomp on the urge to groan loudly or gag at that. He's the last person I'd ever want to be chummy with in this whole city, but Kylie doesn't need to know that.
Are you sure it's not something he ate during breakfast?
I gave him some jelly babies this morning. Ruin brought me lots of them. Mama said I should share, so I offered half of it to Tio when he picked me up. He likes the black ones.
Oh, that's probably why he's weird. Jelly baby overdose.
He could have done everyone a favor and choked on them while he's at it.
Do you want some? I've got more. I couldn't find Melody or Takako this morning, but I'm sure they'll be fine sharing some of it with you.
No, I'm not really very fond of them. I was just asking. Oh, where's your mum, by the way?
Out of town with Papa.
An unexpected pang hits me at her words. The statement, though innocent enough, unearths a whole chunk of memories from childhood. So eerily familiar. Nights spent eating dinners alone, the number of days coming home to an empty house growing with each passing year, and sometimes several Christmas Eves spent with relatives instead of my own family. It's too late to think about it now, but when I remember, the dull ache is still there, familiar, though lessened by the years now. Beside me, Kylie takes a step back, having gotten tired of clinging to me. There's nothing but cheer in her. She doesn't seem too affected by the fact. Although it makes me wonder how much of it is real, and how much is there to mask the loneliness if there's even one. What a lucky child.
Weren't they informed of career day beforehand?
Yeah, I told them all about it. Mama was looking forward to it.
And they still left?
Uh-huh. It's important business, so it can't be helped. They promised to tell me about it when they come back tomorrow, though. Papa said he'll give me a gift if I behave. I've been a good girl, right, Miss Pink?
You always are. But they asked they asked your Tio to look after you? For this?
Nope, they didn't.
No? Then how?
It was supposed to be Tia. Mama likes her better than Tio, so she asked her, but she's sick and had to visit the doctor today. Oh, that's supposed to be a secret, by the way. Oh, but I think it's a bit confusing because Tio said she also went shopping. That's unfair. Don't you think so, Miss Pink? Mama doesn't allow me to go out when I'm sick.
So it's either her aunt is lying about being sick and doesn't want to spend time with her and just wants to go out and just shop, enjoy the things she wants to do. Or, well, I mean, we can all easily assume that Luke is being a liar, but I feel like that's not the case. He actually cherishes this little girl.
It's still okay, though, since Tio always buys me sweets before we go home. I'm gonna ask for a parfait today. Extra large. Don't tell Takako, okay?
Listening to her like this, it's easy to get a picture of where Kylie's fondness for the guy comes from. She's far from a demanding child unless you made a promise of some sort. She never forgets those. She'll make friends with anyone wherever she is. Buy her a few things and voila, you're settled. No wonder she's so attached to the man. The douche probably showers her with gifts whenever he can. I can't say if the sentiment's the same for the latter, however. He doesn't seem the type and probably just does it for the sake of getting some peace and quiet whenever he's with the girl. Classic techniques.
But before that, I'm gonna show him to everyone first. It's gonna be great. No one else has a gazillionaire fairy godfather. Also, when I grow up, I'm gonna be exactly like him and marry someone really handsome. Like Tia did. That way, I can be awesome too.
There's some sort of misguided logic in there that I'd like to correct. But before I can say my piece, the douchebag steps in, fresh out of the commotion from the classroom behind us, and plows into the conversation with every subtlety a wrecking ball has. None given, despite no one asking for his opinion.
Munchkin, sweetie, trust me. You don't have to marry someone for that to happen.
I don't?
Just do your thing, darling. I'm quite sure you can do great things on your own without lugging around an extra baggage with you.
It's funny he says that, because I believe he's the extra baggage.
Tia married you.
Kylie drops the statement without any sort of preface, and the moment it lands, the douche finds himself grappling with the conversation.
Yeah, well, that's true, Munchkin, technically. But it's not the same thing.
A small frown creases the girl's eyebrows as she tries to comprehend her Teal's rather vague explanation. It's not surprising either when Luke tenses under the child's questioning gaze. It's familiar. I've seen the same look a great deal of times before, on Ashton whenever he's trying to say something he can't quite phrase. Another second passes before the douche moves, kneeling in front of Kylie and placing both his hands on either side of her shoulder. By the way, guys, I like the way that she just secretly nicknamed him the douche. It's just great. Kind is the last word I'll ever use to describe the man, but in this minute there's a smile on his face I can't place, tender by all means for someone as obnoxious as him. It's a curious thing to see, if not a bit odd.
Listen here, sweetie. Tia was already a great person before she met me.
She is?
See, he has like these moments of a decent human being, and then like after that short moment, he ruins it again by being himself. I don't understand why he can't just show more of that. I probably wouldn't dislike him as much, and I know that's the point of his character. We're supposed to not like him, but even so, like right now, like we should see more of this guy, not the guy we were seeing these past couple of chapters.
But I don't see her doing anything. She's always at home.
Not always, Munchkin. Did you know she's really good at numbers?
You're good with them too. You helped me with my homework once.
Well, Tia's much, much better than me. She used to do maths with big numbers.
Oh, like millions?
No, gazillions. And she's really, really good at it. So much so that her dad let her manage anything that had to do with it. That was even before she met me, too.
Does that mean she's better than you?
Oh, leagues, Munchkin. Way, way better than I'll ever be.
For some reason, I don't think he's talking about his wife's mathematical prowess as his voice trails off. In fact, if I had not been paying closer attention, I wouldn't have noticed a change in him. The slight shift in his smile from one that's tended to something wistful, like remembering a memory he's always been fond of, but has often kept to himself. Okay, I'm beginning to think that the reason why he's been acting the way he's been acting is because he's insecure. Like, because his wife is so successful, but even then, like, the girl chose him. Like, why is he acting? You know, I'm still mad at the fact that he may have cheated on her. Or, like, it's pretty much a guarantee that he has, but we may be tricked or what have you. Moving on. And at that fleeting glance of it, a tiny insignificant part of the world somehow also shifts. Opinions changing, impressions moving.
You know what? Why don't you ask Tia next time you have homework,
Okay, next time I'll ask her to help out.
See? No need to marry a good-for-nothing bloke.
Can I also tell her to not stay at home anymore? If Tia's good at it, I'm sure she can help you out too. And Papa. He computes a lot of numbers too. Tia can help him.
You go do that. I'm sure she'll love to hear it, Munchkin, even if it's been a while since.
Another silence from him, then without missing a beat, he turns Kylie around and lightly pats her on her shoulder in a gesture to end their conversation right here and there. Probably before he can say other things he's never intended to say or a child is not meant to hear.
But off you go first. I think I saw your friend run off to the other classroom. The one with the pigtails? Go say hi to her. You still have those jelly babies to give her, yes?
Alright! But wait for me, okay? I've got loads more to show you. They put up my drawing on the bulletin the other day. I'm gonna take you there later. I'll be back!
She soon disappears behind a small crowd, none the wiser to the sudden change in mood around her. Alright guys, I'm gonna end the video here for today. Thank you for watching. Until the next one. Surprisingly, what I have been liking about these two previous videos so far is that we didn't get any, we've been given what I like to call a grace period of no horror, no creepy attacks lately. That's great. You know, I expect more to come now soon enough after this one, after this particular beat in the story. So until then guys, later days.